Hi,
Recording.
friends. Welcome to Monday Morning Magic with Lila and John. I'm Lila.
I'm
This
John.
is John. And today we are talking about addiction. And when I say we, I mean John's talking about addiction.
What?
I love your point of view. We're starting there.
Huh.
So, you said something in our conversation that sparked this topic. So, how do you view addiction?
Addiction is something that keeps you out of choice. It keeps you from being in choice. I say, and I think the conversation went there because I have friends that have been in recovery,
Mm.
and I always had this is just my belief, and there's no disrespect when people that I've known that have not had a drink or any drugs in like 30 years, and they says I'm a recovering drug addict or alcoholic. It always kind of startled me, and I'm really happy for them. But I'm like, that's not what you do. Why are you still wearing a label from 30 years ago?
Mm.
So, and how do you keep on linking that distraction of being out of choice from 30 years ago? Now, if you choose it again, you just choose it again. But once you've not done it for so many years, I don't think that's what you are anymore. At least that's what, and I think that's some of where the conversation came up. But it's the whole concept of I'm not going to be in choice.
Yeah.
Something takes control of me.
Yeah. I have a cookie addiction. I like telling people that I eat my feelings because they look at me and I'm thin, y'all. Like, look at this collarbone right here. I am thin. And so when you think about people eating their feelings, I always got hazed, especially by my nutritionist friends. I'd be like, I'm eating my feelings tonight. What are you having? A whole cookie? Mm-hmm.
A whole cookie.
A whole cookie.
Just one?
Just one. Sometimes two.
Now, here's addiction, y'all. I'm going to have about 3, 4 of them motherfuckers. I'm going to eat 3, 4 cookies. And now that's the addiction.
But no, here's the
They'd be like,
thing.
Pookie, come have me one.
It's the out of choice thing though. Like if I'm eating the cookie because I want the cookie, if I'm in choice around eating the cookie, it's one thing. But if I am there has been a point that might be still slightly relevant in my life where like a cookie is the sweetest thing in my experience at the moment. And I
Yes.
am going to that cookie for sweetness.
Yes.
Or where my body is like, how about you lay the fuck off the sugar? And I'm like, but cookies. Then
Yeah.
I'm out of choice. Then it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if I'm eating a cookie or a sleeve of cookies. I
Yeah.
am still out of choice.
And that's the whole piece about it too. Especially so when you say, okay, so when we go to addiction, for me, my addiction is sugar. Big
Mm-hmm.
time. I love me some fucking sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar. I'll find one. I go to a naturopath. Dr. Bernie Baird had me take a food journal when I first met him, and he said, "Okay, I want you to just write down everything you can eat. You eat, but you can't have like cakes, cookies, coffee." He took me off of that shit, and I thought I was gonna kill somebody. But the ironic thing that he said is that I went back and I got all the things that were full of sugar that were natural. Like I went to
Mm-hmm.
have dates,
Fruit.
I had like mangoes. I went for that sugar. My body was able to be like, "Ugh, sugar. I was like almost like a monster with that. But and still to this day, y'all, I still actually have to be in question. I have to really fucking be present not to go back and eat a lot of sugar. Like if I buy a pint of non-dairy ice cream that I eat, if I can sit there and eat the entire container, go back 3 times to eat the entire container, have a couple of cookies on top, and that's when my body's letting me know that I'm not in choice. I'm not being present with my body. And
Yeah.
so that's the other thing. Addictions, I don't think allow you to be present. I mean, sometimes I think they spin you out so you're distracted from something, or you might be distracted from your body. I don't know.
I was gonna say, do the addictions allow you to be out of choice, or is being out of choice feeding the addiction?
It was which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's almost, yeah. Part of me is You always in choice, even if you make the bad choice.
Okay, what's bad?
Uh, 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 Something that has a negative effect on your body. So bad is not the good word to use. I'll switch bad. You see, I said this to a group of guys before. Even if you don't choose, you choose.
Not choosing is a choice,
But exactly,
for sure.
exactly. And so so I guess the word I would say addictions take you from being present.
I
Not
think addictions take you out of choice. I'm going to stick with that definition. And here's why I say
yeah.
that. So I come from a lineage of addiction.
Hmm.
The two people in my family that didn't choose drugs or alcohol as their drugs of choice chose religion
It's a drug of choice.
as their drug of choice. And I chose my first husband as my drug of choice.
Yes.
And in
Can I
looking
say
at,
something? Can I implement something real
yeah,
quick? So here's the piece about it. I also want people to get that addiction is not just drug and alcohol. It's shopping, it's sex, it's social media, it's uh anything that, like we said before, taking you out of choice or being present. You know, I've learned something
some
from my
people are
previous.
addicted to poverty. Some people
Yeah,
are addicted to struggle.
yep, yep. Now that's the other piece of poverty, and you don't even know it. You don't
No,
even know it, and you're like, "Oh my God, what do you mean?" And if somebody like hear this, if you hear this in recording, you hear this, you'd be like, "Well, oh my God." You can ask your question. If you're not present with something, then you don't know what you're choosing. It's almost a subconscious type of thing. It's like you put it way back here. There's no camera back here, so you really can't see it. It's just floating around out there.
yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, but I wanted to say that before we got too far in this. But
No need to apologize. That's very much where I'm going with this.
yeah,
I the thing about that relationship that was different is that I knew there was a pattern and I was actively in the process of unraveling it.
hmm,
But the thing about addiction from my personal experience is you can't fight with it. You can outcreate it and you can choose beyond it,
yeah,
but fighting with an addiction is a losing battle.
yeah,
And most people wondered why I stayed in that relationship as long as I stayed. I cannot tell you how many times I heard she's so bright and then she chose this dude.
yeah,
But what I knew and what I would tell people was when I get this lie to me, cheat on me sticker off my forehead, he's either going to change or he'll leave. But me pushing him away is just going to create more of that
hmm,
because I haven't healed whatever it is that is attracting that to me in the first place. So we were talking about cookies. um, I am down from 3 cookies, a cookie, a feelings eating session to one.
hmm.
So like I also though
What cookies you eat? I'm curious now
they're
because
gluten-free lemon
okay,
cookies.
okay. So I got these gluten-free coconut cookies, and when you said one, it's paper thin. I was like, that just ain't my tongue is bigger than that.
They're only like this big.
Uh-huh.
They're maybe that thick.
Are they like shortbread?
Yeah, they taste like
Oh
cake.
my man, I think I had these. We have a company called Pamela that does those type of gluten-free cookies.
Our brand is Wow. And before gluten started kicking my ass,
Yeah.
I used to eat these. My most recent ex loved lemon. It was his favorite dessert.
Hmm.
And I found these iced lemon cookies. They were this big
Now you're talking.
and they were glazed, like lightly glazed,
Yeah.
very lightly glazed. And they tasted almost like cake. So fucking good.
Oh my God. Orgasmic.
Those I would eat a
Orgasm.
sleeve
Wait a
of.
minute. Let me have a moment. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. Those I would eat a sleeve of. I
Yeah.
I ate a box of those in a single day.
Yeah.
It's just not a normal me thing to do.
Yeah.
And they weren't super sweet, which also made them really good.
Yeah.
Really good flavor. These are like the gluten-free version of those.
Hmm.
So not glazed, but sugared. And so when I got them, I ate the whole bag. Like in a day, I ate a bag. And then I was like, how many of these is a serving? Oh, two. I should probably dial it back a whole bunch of notches. And so when I realized that I was eating my feelings in the form of cookies, I started looking at where else I could add sweetness into my life,
Hmm.
what obligations I could take off of my plate. So I didn't feel like the only place I was getting sweetness was in these cookies. But if I had just been like, I'm going to exercise my willpower, which I was not built with, by the way, to not eat these cookies, that's how you eat 2 bags of cookies in a day instead of one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's how you end up, my dad cheated on my mom. My brother's dad cheated on my mom. My mom decided to date married men, which
hmm,
solved the problem being cheated on,
right,
but didn't fix the underlying pattern that
right,
created that shit in the first place.
yeah,
So I learned from her what happens when you fight your patterns and you fight your addictions and you fight your problems. So I ran it all out in my first relationship.
yeah,
And I have not been lied to or cheated on since.
yeah.
So that pattern doesn't live in me anymore. I'm not
You
available
just
for
straight
that.
uncreate that damn pattern so you can have something else.
Yeah. Doesn't live
Yeah.
in me anymore. Not
Yeah.
available for it.
I think that that's very something very, 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 and at 58, I keep on saying my age with this, but at 58, I'm still having uh, battles at time with me and my body. The difference with it, when I get out of the shower, I love up on me. Now, I know that sounds probably crazy. I'm not like masturbating, so I don't want people to say that. And when I got out the shower, what I'm
That's
saying,
ever done in the shower, then you don't end up with sticky socks. Sorry, go on.
yeah, okay. Dun, dun, we'll go any place. We talked about organic, we talk about gluten free, and this is around addiction, and we're talking about masturbation to an addiction, which it could be another addiction, and almost the words in it, addiction. But anyway, okay. So anyway, the whole piece, what I'm saying, a little entertainment on Monday morning for people. I hope you guys enjoying this. Spice it up a little bit.
Stop those 9 a.m. Monday morning heart attacks.
Yes, yes, yes. But the whole concept about it is I actually being more present with your body. Like when I get out of the shower now, I look at myself and I give myself moments in the mirror, loving up energetically and having gratitude for every space of my body, where I didn't do that early on. And as I do that, it seems like I have a easier capacity of dropping and adding weight. I can do it like this a lot more flexible.
I have
Uh,
a question for you.
yes, mama.
Who taught you to love up on your body, John?
Well, a lot of people, you start talking about that. Access people said that, but I didn't believe. I had to start liking my body first. And what happens? I was throwing judgments at my body. And once I stopped, because I know some people might think this is kind of weird. My mom, Pamela Marie Ashford, thought I was the best thing since sliced bread.
Of course you did. You are fabulous. Have you met you? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but I had this thing that I thought I was ugly.
Because
But
you're bonkers.
yeah, and the question from Access is like, who the hell does that belong to? Because I come from a very distinguished group of people that are kind of attractive, not kind of, they really attractive. But I
I
didn't
mean,
see
and have you
myself.
seen your face?
I can't see my face, just like I can't hear my voice. Like somebody said when I speak on recordings, stuff, it's like, oh my god. Like I've done energy work with people, and they were like listening to, it, and they were like, after this, they'll say, John, do you know this was like a very interesting situation. It's very, really, really orgasmic because your voice, but I can't hear that. And when I listen to myself on recordings from class, I usually turn it off. I'm not really listening to one class of mine completely because I'm like, oh, my voice.
You know what's coming, don't you?
Well, what's that, baby?
Homework.
Yes, practice.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess, and what my sister Lila is saying is that, if you have practice of starting to be present and ask questions, you can start to dissolve most all the addictions to me. You
That
can go through
and
treatment if needed. I think treatment will work for some, but I don't know necessarily to know that everybody would need that.
do what works for you. I did
Absolutely.
not go to Codependence Anonymous, even though I have codependent. I had until John got a hold of me. I had codependence just running through my energy system.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Like I knew in my first relationship that I was codependent, but this last one that I just got out of, y'all, we were at the end of it. It was unraveling. It was on fire. And I looked around and it was like, holy fuck, all of this codependence is just roaming around. I
Yeah.
had no clue.
Yeah.
But when you have a pattern, like I can't see how sexy I am, how attractive I am, how magnetic I am, why all of these women just flock to me, like my friend John over there. Um,
You
when
got
you
jokes.
have that pattern, I got jokes that are true, then it takes some unraveling, it takes some undoing. And I wasn't just unraveling my pattern, I was unraveling lineage pattern.
Yes.
And so when the addiction, whatever the addiction is, whether it is a cookie problem or a cookie problem,
There we go again, y'all. The cookies. Who like the cookies? But that we're gonna focus. This is not a sex talk. But it's been
is
that
it
way.
the,
Yeah.
or you like one glass of wine too many? If you have to drink a glass of wine with dinner to unwind from your day, and you're not choosing to drink that glass of wine,
There you go. It
there's
got
something
you.
to look
It's
at.
got you. It's got you.
Yeah.
And
That
and
glass
that's the
of
other.
wine is making your choices for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And it's what I want people to pick up today, this Monday morning, is that it's anything that's creating that space for you, anything that's creating that space for that, you have to have it. When you have a ought to, should, you can't move without it, even with people too. It's an addiction. It's actually you, something is missing in your world. And what would it
Something
be
is
like to be in questioning?
missing.
Let that go. What? And that's the first thing you ask the question: how do I let this go? Who does? And a lot of things. Oh,
I
let me say
would
this.
ask, what is this first? I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
ask,
yeah.
what is it
Hey,
first?
yeah. You're right.
Because
Yeah,
my last my last relationship addiction experience, without telling all of Facebook and YouTube, my whole business, um, I didn't actually know what it was. I was looking at this urge to reach out to this person, and I was in full awareness that it was something beyond me, but it actually took two other healers and all of my questions to get underneath what it really was.
yeah,
So I would start with the question of, what is this?
yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then the next question you could ask too is, who does this belong to?
Who does this belong to?
And I know people will be like, what? What?
Don't worry about it.
So check this out. I'm gonna give a little explanation on why what I found to be. This
Okay.
is just me.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to you guys. It's probably not part of you. It doesn't apply to you at all. It just applies only to John Ashley. I've cornered this market. I didn't realize until maybe 3 years ago that some of the times when I want something sweet, I'm actually tapping into other people's energy around me that don't have enough sweetness in their life too.
Mm.
Let me give you a story. I think I told you about this. I was at work one day. I'm sitting in my office and my office door closed. I'm typing away doing my work, and my first break come up, and I was like, man, pie. Now in Portland, they got this place called the Pie Spot. They have these little mini pies, all from pecan to chocolate marshmallow, s'mores pie to a more lemon Myers pie, which you would really love. It has a graham cracker crust. Oh my god! So I'm sitting there, and I was like, "Ooh, a nice coffee and a mini pie would be set off this morning." So I looked at the clock. I called our office assistant. I said, "I'll be right back." I run to the store, and I get to the door of the store, and this is when I just started using these tools of talking to my body and food. And I grab the door handle of the store, the pie spot in Portland, and my wife said, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Huh? We don't want no pie." I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "You don't want no pie?" I drove like 10 minutes, used my brake and everything. I go back to the car, and the person in the store kind of looking at me like, "Is this dude gonna rob me? What the hell?" And because I'm actually talking to myself for the first time in public, I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm losing it." But as I got back, I passed somebody, and the person, when I passed, said, "Hey, John, man, you have anything sweet in your office?" I'm like, "Son of a gun!" And it was the first time I recognized that sometimes some of our addictions might be the people we're next to.
Their body sent you to the store for pie.
Yeah. And when I got there, my body's like, "We don't want that."
It's not for me, bro. So I have this thing with people where I will tell you about a former lover when I lived in Memphis.
Ooh, this is gonna get juicy, y'all. Get a cigarette. No, just
I
kidding.
don't know how juicy it's going to be. I am pretty good at just being done with you when I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't typically miss people. So when I start missing people, it is really mind boggling and a little bit mind blowing.
Mhm.
But this guy showed me this gift that I have. So I would just be minding my business and I would start seeing him everywhere. I would be like, what the hell is going on? So then I message him and I'd be like, hey, how's it going? You know, everything good with you? And he'd be like, I have been thinking about you. Like without fail would be his response. I could not hear from him for months. Start seeing him everywhere, message him and be like, hey, are you good? He'd be like, I was thinking, stop fucking thinking about me. So my body, my system was drawing a reminder of him into my experience to fulfill a desire that he had to reach out to me that he is just too fucking Taurus to do.
Mhm.
Uh, Go ahead.
And I want to say that that's the miracle that we also be. How many times have you thought about somebody and they called you?
Yeah.
I mean, that is part, I mean, that's how, and if we knew how powerful we really were, we'd be terrified of ourselves.
I think I have been terrified of myself for a really long time because I knew how powerful I was. Now I'm just learning to wield it.
But that's the difference. Once you are really willing to receive it, you actually change the mechanism of it and it becomes a capacity.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. Because how
We're
many people, I
trying
think,
to help.
thank you, sister. And same here. But how many times I think, I think of some of my friends or family members that have been in addictive relationships that turn out, and it's a train wreck. You can see it happening. Everybody can see the other person's train wreck. You can't see yourself
Mm,
until you start really asking questions.
sometimes.
When you're in question, but a lot of times, because if you knew it's going to be a train wreck, unless you're this
You don't
morbid
know it's going to
person,
be a train wreck when you get into it. But the reason that I
that's what
say
I'm saying.
sometimes is because when I told people, like, there are some people who still don't know that I'm single.
Mhm.
And when they're like, so, you know, how's, and I'm like, yeah, we're not together. And they're like, what happened? Because nobody saw it coming,
Yeah.
including us. We were in it and we didn't see it coming.
But sometimes I wonder to people, not what telltale signs are you paying attention to? Like I ask people here, where we
Mm-hmm.
live, it rains a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go outside, just before rain happens, you can smell rain in the air. And I don't know don't ask me to tell you what rain smells like, but it's like, it's about to rain.
John Ashford.
Yes.
Everybody don't have that skill.
They don't?
No.
Ooh, oops. I can tell when it's about to rain.
I can tell when it's about to rain, but I need you to understand that not all noses are built the same.
So my question of it is, but it's not always just in my nose, it's my body too. Where people
Right.
cut off their awareness. Like a friend of mine told me something, Gary Douglas from Access Conscious said something to me that I was like, ooh, I'm gonna steal this. I'm gonna start doing this shit. He says, I listen with every molecule of my body, not just my ears. I was like, ooh, that's dope. I'm gonna start practicing that.
And are you willing to follow the guidance?
Yes. Yes. You have to be willing.
Listen with every molecule in your body, but it does you no good to listen if you don't follow the guidance.
Yeah. Say more about that.
I was in a relationship that ended on a very toxic note.
Yeah.
And 4 years prior to this fire, this dumpster fire, um, this person raised their voice at me in a very benign setting. And my whole body went like this. And I took that information and just buried it.
Hmm.
You can listen. You can listen all you want. When people ask, I have friends who love to ask when relationships end and they end on like a dumpster fire note.
Mm-hmm.
What relationships, friendships, whatever, what did you ignore in the beginning? There is a list.
Mm-hmm.
Listening is not enough. You have to be willing to follow the guidance that you get when you listen.
Yes. And it depends on how much gaslighting culturally is happening or from the person you're with.
Or
Because
from yourself.
yes, which is I'm also to this point, and people are like, brace yourself now. Here, check this out. I have this concept of choosing, and I say choose, ask a question, and if it's light, choose it. I don't say that anymore. Sometimes you need to choose something that's heavy because your body is demanding an experience to have this experience. When you take the judgment off of it, when you live the bad and good, the right and wrong off of it, it's just an experience. You can choose
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
I used to have that piece where I used to say, ooh, you had a bad relationship, it was heavy. Nah, what was see, everything
But
in
what
the
did it
universe is trying to
create?
contribute. What is it's actually contributing to you. How many I'm somebody knows that I do a lot of cooking on YouTube and I love to cook. How many dishes, creations out of the kitchen were mistakes that end up being a multi-billion contribution to the belly? Sourdough bread, example. Can you eat that again?
Sourdough was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
I
Somebody
love it.
In San Francisco, somebody made a mistake with the yeast in the starter and it went sour and they used it and they were like, oh my God, this is bomb. And it's a multi-billion dollars business right now.
It also
So
makes a great turkey sandwich.
yes. So where are you willing to look at your mistakes as contributions that most people say, oh, choose light? Nah, choose everybody what's going to be the greatest contribution. What if I learn something over here that actually ends up being a contribution to everybody around me after I learn that lesson? You don't have to live in that. That's the other thing too. With addictions, you can get out anytime and you have to for me, you just have to start being wanting to be aware and willing to be in the question about who does this belong to? What the hell is it? Can I change it? And if so, what's it going to take for me to change this? And it could be therapy, it could be running, it could be I don't see. I used to have this belief where it has to be, maybe the therapist. I'm not down with that 100%. I'm not against therapists. I'm like, I think we get in a trap that we have to find the one ring to rule it all, like the fucking Lord of the Rings. Just saying.
I had 4 sessions in 1 week. Um, 4 different healers in 1 week. You're about to turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
But I also want to invite people to consider what a gift their experiences are to them.
Yeah.
Like you just said, but like reiterated in a different way. Because the last 2 years of my last relationship, my ego says was a fucking nightmare. But the person that I am now, I wouldn't go back to being the person that I was before. I wouldn't trade the 2 years of a nightmare
Yeah.
if it meant that I didn't get to be me. today.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
All right.
when the
What do you want to
contribution,
invite
that's the
people to?
contribution. What's that?
What do you want to invite people to?
Oh, so I want to invite, so I had on Saturday, the 5th of this month, February, I started a Being You Money workbook class. Bomb. Our next class is the 20th of February, and it's still open for people to join. You'll get a recording from what happened Saturday. You have to buy this book, How to Become Money Workbook. I have a lot of different books. If you're interested, I'll go to my website. And also, I will be in Detroit next weekend. So I want to invite people to a Being You 2-day adventure. It's going to be online and in person. You can find it at www.beingjohnashford.com. You can find all that information, the classes I got going on. What about you? What you got, Steve?
Apparently, the universe got jokes. I was like, I'm just gonna do VA work this year, and that's gonna be my life. And
So
then
explain
some.
VA work. What's that for people?
I'm a virtual assistant, so I do all of the admin things for small business owners and creative entrepreneurs that they don't want to do.
And how do they find you if they're interested in hiring you?
I mean, message me, but my calendar's full.
But you always have. So y'all, in other words, still hit her up because her ass is bad. So that's she's cruel. So what does that tell you? That you might
My
be able to nudge
calendar's
somebody in there,
full.
nudge something in there so that she get the business and more business. See, this is the thing about I'm trying to get my sister to understand you can do multiple things. You can add a little bit more to the plate.
Yeah, well, I say
I
that, and
show.
then earlier today, I got off the phone, or I got on the phone with someone who's newly into her psychic superpowers, and I forgot about this until she said it, that her partner has eczema.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I actually entered my metaphysical journey healing my body of eczema.
Mhm.
So I might be doing some one-to-one work this year.
Yes.
We'll see.
See? Everything's a contribution. I'm gonna turn the
I
pump
make
here off.
plans, and then the universe is like, you're so cute. Here.
Flexibility is what it's called. I can
Yes.
shift on a dime.
Yeah.
Living in 10-second increments. Y'all, I'm gonna turn the pump. I gotta get the hell up out of here. We'll see you next Monday. Peace and blessings. Be kind to you.
Bye,
Peace.
everybody.